People inside the crowded highway diner froze mid-bite when icy water splashed across the tiles, followed by a gasp that cut through the room. The young waitress stood trembling, drenched from head to toe, her uniform clinging to her skin as three college boys laughed like they had won something. No one knew her name, no one ever asked, and no one ever expected what came next. Because when she lifted her head, eyes steady and calm, too calm, she whispered a truth that made every soul in that diner sit upright. You just assaulted a Navy SEAL commander. What happened next was something the entire town would talk about for decades. The morning had started like any other for Maya Reynolds. She tied her brown hair into a neat bun, slid into her simple waitress uniform, and stepped into the cold air outside her small apartment. Shed always loved early mornings. The silence gave her time to breathe deeply, to remind herself she had survived worse than loneliness, worse than cold, worse than the memories she never shared. Few people knew that she was once Commander Maya Reynolds, one of the most respected Navy SEAL officers of her generation, a woman who led operations in places where sunlight never reached and whose voice could steady a team facing impossible odds. But after losing her best friend during a mission, she walked away from everything. She wanted peace, anonymity, a life where no one saluted her or looked at her expecting strength she no longer felt she had. The diner was her refuge now. The smell of bacon, the sound of coffee machines, the jokes exchanged between regulars, it grounded her. People saw her as the quiet, polite waitress who remembered every order and never complained even when the shift got rough. And she liked it that way. To most, Maya was invisible, a part of the furniture. But she was okay with that. It kept the world from asking questions she wasn't ready to answer. That day the diner was packed with travelers escaping the freezing cold. The wind outside howled against the windows and customers shuffled in, shaking snow off their jackets. Maya moved through the aisles like clockwork, her step soft, her smile gentle. Across the room, 3 college boys had taken a corner booth. They were loud, careless, and clearly determined to ruin someone's day simply because they could. Maya ignored it at first. They were the kind who only sought attention. She focused on serving Mrs. Ellis her coffee, helping an old man with trembling hands cut his pancakes, and delivering fresh muffins to the kids at table 5. But as the shift dragged on, the boys began mocking her. First it was little comments whispered loudly enough for her to hear. Then it was rude jokes about her uniform, her quiet demeanor, her pathetic little job. Maya breathed through it, reminding herself of her promise to stay detached, to keep her past locked away. But the boys were only warming up. When she brought their order, a tray of milkshakes and fries, one of them blocked her path intentionally. "Hey, sweetheart, smile. We're giving you attention. You should be grateful," he said, leaning close, the smell of alcohol heavy on his breath. Maya stepped back, calm but firm. "Please let me through," she said. But her quiet tone only seemed to encourage them. Then came the moment no one expected. One of the boys reached for a large jug filled with ice water sitting on the counter, meant for refilling customer glasses. Before Maya could step away, he tipped it forward, soaking her completely. The water hit her like a slap, freezing and heavy. Gasps filled the diner as she stood trembling, drenched in front of everyone. The boys laughed. "Look at her! She can't even defend herself," one of them shouted. Maya closed her eyes for a moment. The cold reminded her of nights lying on metal floors during missions, waiting for orders that could mean life or death. But here she was, humiliated by teenagers who thought cruelty made them powerful. When she finally opened her eyes, something inside her had shifted. The calm Shed learned through years of combat returned, the cold, unshakable calm that only warriors possessed. She didn't shout. She didn't curse. Instead, she said 8 words that cut the laughter instantly. "You just assaulted a Navy SEAL commander." The entire diner went silent. Even the coffee machine stopped hissing. Or maybe everyone was just too stunned to hear anything else. The boys froze, their smirks wiped clean. But Maya didn't stay to watch their reactions. She simply walked to the back room, dripping water with every step. She didn't need revenge. She didn't need to prove anything. She wanted to breathe, to hold herself together. Inside the break room, she leaned against the wall and finally allowed her hands to shake. Not because she feared the boys, no, she had seen real danger, but because the life she tried so hard to bury had resurfaced with one sentence. She wondered if she had made a mistake coming to this small town. She wondered if peace was something she was never meant to have. Then the door creaked open. It was the diner owner, Mr. Matthews, a kind man in his late 50s who treated his staff like family. His eyes were full of worry and guilt. "Maya, are you all right?" "I'm so sorry. I should have stepped in sooner. You didn't do anything wrong," she said, wiping her face. "People like them, they don't think. They hurt because it makes them feel strong." Mr. Matthews sighed, rubbing his forehead. "They won't get away with this. He'll call the police." Maya shook her head gently. "They don't need punishment, they need understanding. But today, I don't have the strength to teach that." He placed a hand on her shoulder. "No one deserves to be treated like that, especially not you. Whatever your past is, you're one of the strongest people I've ever met." She swallowed hard at his words. It had been years since anyone recognized her strength without expecting something from her. She nodded and forced a small smile. "Thank you."